Hello viewers and welcome back to the Economic Hammer channel. Today I'm going to show you the origins of economic royalism and its 10 parameters which create the triangle of power and economic extraction. What is this economic royalism, you might ask? Economic royalism is an ideology followed by people called economic royalists. These royalists use their combined wealth to infiltrate politics, overturn or replace laws, and eventually their greed overtakes your government and leads to economic paralysis or collapse of your country. Sound familiar? I'm sure it does. Now, to find the origin of economic royalism, we need something very important, a way to measure it. Because if you cannot measure a pattern, you cannot prove it exists. After analyzing historical patterns across countries, corporations, and political systems, I identified what I call the 10 parameters of economic royalism. These parameters act like warning lights on a dashboard. The more of them you see in one place, the more likely the triangle of power and economic extraction is forming. Here are the parameters of economic royalism. Parameter 1, government policies that favor elites first over the general public. Parameter 2, weak or closed democracy without strong protective laws. Parameter 3, reckless deregulation that harms public well-being and removes market guardrails. Parameter 4, public goods treated as commodities instead of basic rights. Parameter 5, regressive loophole-ridden tax systems with a top tax rate below 70%. Parameter 6, captured, dependent, or highly consolidated media. Parameter 7, suppressed unions and weakened worker bargaining power. Parameter 8, government entangled with concentrated corporate power and unfair competition. Parameter 9, harsh austerity and weakened social protections during economic downturns. And lastly, parameter 10, unequal justice, where the powerful operate above the law. Now, and this is critical, these 10 parameters of royalism were not invented randomly. They were identified by analyzing repeating patterns across history, across different countries, and across different economic systems. But here's the real test. If economic royalism is truly a deep structural pattern, then we should be able to see the early stages of it form, even in the simplest possible human scenario. So let's run an experiment, my viewers. Let's go back to the beginning. Imagine a scenario where only 10 people exist in the entire world and wake up on an island. No government, no laws, no money, no history books, and no ideology. Just 10 human beings, and the need to survive. At first, things are simple. Everyone gathers food. Everyone builds shelter. Everyone helps each other. Because in the beginning, cooperation is the fastest path to survival. But time passes, and this is where economic royalism parameters begin to form without any help. One person is stronger. One person is better at organizing. One person figures out how to store extra food. And slowly, not through conspiracy, but through incentives to survive, differences in the group of 10 begin to appear. Some people now control more resources than others. And the moment resource imbalance appears, the first pressure toward economic royalism is born. At first, it looks harmless. The person with extra food says, "I'll store this for the group." Fair enough. But then winter comes. And now access to stored food matters. Power is quietly forming and parameter formation begins automatically. Not all at once, just one small step at a time. Early signs of parameter 4 appear first, public goods treated as commodities instead of basic rights. Public survival resources like food and shelter slowly begin acting less like shared necessities and more like controlled commodities. No law required, just human behavior under survival pressure. Then something else happens. The food organizer starts making decisions like who gets extra, who waits, and who works first. Now we see the early shadow of parameter 1, decisions beginning to favor the resource controller first. Still no evil mastermind, just incentives to individually survive doing their quiet work. Time passes again. Group of 10 society disagreements appear, but there are no formal society guardrails. No agreed system for resolving disputes. And this is where parameter 2 begins to emerge. Weak or informal governance structures. Not because anyone designed it that way, but because no protective rules were built early. Now watch carefully because this is the turning point most people in history miss. If strong, fair rules are built amongst the 10 people early, the shared economic system stabilizes. But if they are not, then resource advantage begins to compound, and compound, and compound. Soon, 1 or 2 people of the 10 are no longer just surviving. They are positioned to rule because they controlled the resources. And once positioning appears, the triangle of power begins quietly assembling itself quickly. Not through ideology or slogans, but through incentives to individually survive fueled by fear because of a lack of societal rules. This is only the beginning though, because if we let the island run longer, the rest of the parameters start showing up one by one. Next, as time goes on, the resource controllers of the group of 10 loosen work safeguards and survival guardrails to increase resource output, triggering parameter 3, reckless deregulation that harms public well-being. Next, we see the group of 10 begin contributing portions of their output to those managing storage and coordination, a primitive form of parameter 5 where the burden falls downward while the top accumulates. Then control of information amongst the group of 10 follows next. The same few voices start shaping the group's shared story about who is keeping everyone alive, and parameter 6 quietly locks in, captured, dependent, or highly consolidated narrative. As resource leverage concentrates, the rest of the group loses bargaining power over how much work they must do for resources, leading to parameter 7, suppressed unions and weakened worker bargaining power. Next, and rather quickly, leadership roles and resource control fuse together into a self-reinforcing inner circle, which is parameter 8, government entangled with concentrated corporate power and unfair competition. Then when a bad weather season on the island hits, support in the group of 10 loosens instead of tightening. The no-rules system protects stored power first and struggling members last, starting parameter 9, and finally when conflicts arise because of no rules, those members at the top receive flexibility while other group members face consequences, leading to parameter 10, unequal justice, where the more powerful in the group operate above the law. So viewers, we can see from our experiment no conspiracy or ideology is required to see the 10 parameters of economic royalism. All you need is 10 humans plus resource scarcity and no rules in place. The natural formation pattern of economic royalism will follow every time. So what does this mean for the real world? It means economic royalism is not an accident. It is not a conspiracy theory. And it is not limited to any one country, party, or time period. It is the natural result of society without rules. But here is what civilization history quietly reveals. Humans did begin to notice something was wrong. Long before anyone had the language for economic royalism, early civilizations could see the pattern in fragments. They saw power concentrating. They saw elites gaming weak systems. They saw republics bending toward oligarchy. The ancient Greeks were the first to seriously confront this royalism problem. They did not know the 10 parameters. They did not have modern economic data, but they could observe one simple truth: without rules, power accumulates. So the Greeks did something historically profound. They began building early democratic guardrails like voting structures, civic participation rules, and rotation of leadership, revolutionary for their time. The Greeks were not fighting a named enemy, but in effect, they were pushing back against early forms of economic royalism, and the collecting of democracy principles continued, folks. Centuries later, pieces of the defensive principled rule set of democracy appeared again. In 1776, Adam Smith identified principles like the dangers of concentrated merchant power and warned that markets required oversight and moral restraint, adding his principled democracy fragments to society. Around the same period, the American founding fathers reached a similar conclusion from the political side. They had watched concentrated power corrupt monarchies for generations, so they engineered constitutional guardrails, separation of powers, checks and balances, federalism, and regular elections, all designed around one core fear: that power, left unchecked, would consolidate. Then came the 1930s. For the first time in modern industrial history, the math itself caught up to the problem. John Maynard Keynes demonstrated mathematically that unmanaged capital flows could destabilize entire economies. And Franklin Roosevelt, facing visible system failure in 1932 as US president, implemented as many of the democracy principles as he could find. But folks, here is the critical insight. Across 3,000 years, the principles of democracy were always fragmented, partial, and incomplete, never fully assembled into one coherent containment structure. And because of that, the economic royalism triangle of power and extraction kept coming back to every civilization through time, again and again and again, until now. Because for the first time in recorded history, all 10 counter-principles to economic royalism can be seen clearly and assembled deliberately into a single structural defense. This complete framework is what I call the 10-sided containment box of democracy. This is not a slogan and not a theory. It is a full-spectrum rule architecture designed to do what scattered history never quite achieved: prevent the automatic reformation of economic royalism. And this, my viewers, is the real turning point for human society. We now have the 10 principles of democracy to prevent the 10 parameters of economic royalism that have crushed every civilization in history. This default pattern that appears whenever human survival systems grow without strong, protective rules has finally met its match. So my viewers, in conclusion, the origin of economic royalism is not a country, and it's not a political party or moment in modern history. No. The origin of economic royalism is the natural drift of human systems under survival scarcity when society rules are absent. And it is what has quietly repeated itself across civilizations for thousands of years. And its time is now over. Why? Because society now has the 10 principles of democracy, and we're going to use them as soon as we all get on the same page. Thanks for watching my Origin of Economic Royalism expose, folks. I hope you learned what I was trying to convey in this video. The information here is definitely a game changer. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for my channel so you do not miss the next information drop like this. And remember this before I go, freedom and liberty are just around the corner, now guaranteed.